Hey, welcome to the return of the Jackie Jones Show here on In Your Head Wrestling Radio. I am the host of the Jackie Jones Show. Jackie Jones, that's right, the internet icon, the pride of the pilgrims, a damn handsome man, the most honest man in all of podcasting, and as Travis Sandal here says, Jackie Jones for president. In Jack we trust. All right. Here live Wednesday. I'm going to start doing these shows here. Live Wednesday night following AEW Dynamite because it's the one show I like to watch. And we do In Your Head. We're still going to do In Your Head live on Tuesday nights. But by Tuesday, I don't remember what happened the night before, 6 days before. Hell, I can barely remember stuff that happened yesterday. So, why not just do a show right after AEW? We'll talk about it here. And then you'll tune in Your Head. We'll get entries and we'll talk about news. We'll talk about a bunch of nonsense. You'll be getting a lot of stuff. So subscribe to In Your Head, I Watch Wrestling here on the YouTube page. Click the little bell icon. That way you'll get all the updates and join us live Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights. And also subscribe to the new podcast page over on anchor.fm. Because, hey, guys out there, I've been doing the show for 16 years. I love doing podcasts. But I know from experience, it was hard to start a podcast. But today it's a little easier because of sites like Anchor, anchor.fm. It's a one place you're going to go. It's going to help you record your podcast, edit your podcast, get your podcast out there to all the platforms. It can help you monetize. It's very easy to use. Check it out. Download the free app, the free Anchor app, or go to anchor.fm. All right, now let's get into the show. So we're going to talk about AEW Dynamite, which just happened, and I'll probably also go over All Out since there wasn't an In Your Head this week. So let's see. I took some notes. I'm prepared. All right, so it opened with Jericho and MJF. Now this is like a dream union here. Chris Jericho and MJF, the two best heels in wrestling, I would say. I mean, you might argue, I'm not sure who you would argue, but for my money, the two best heels in wrestling today. Good stuff. And all right, so there's something I want to talk. I talk about this sometimes on the show. Is there's certain things in wrestling you just have to accept. Either, because there's stuff that I appreciate from when I was a kid that was hard for me to accept. It's like one of my favorite angles of all time, and it still holds up, is when the Horsemen they pay a cameraman, or they just kidnap the cameraman, and they go and beat down Dusty Rhodes. A great angle. Part of it that I love is there was a reason why there's a cameraman there. Nowadays, there's no reason why a cameraman would be there, and that it does take away from wrestling for me. So in order for me to enjoy wrestling, I have to accept that. I'm not going to say anyone's wrong who doesn't accept that, because I prefer the old way. But at the same time, if I'm going to enjoy wrestling today, I have to accept certain things because wrestling changes. Everything changes. So getting that out of the way, I've accepted this as part of wrestling. It's been going on for a long time. And so why bring this up? Because they do a split screen afterwards where you're seeing Jericho and MJF walking away from each other. And MJF says, what do you say? He says, I wrote it down. He's like, what an ass or something. But yeah, he walks away, and what a loser, I believe he said. And Jericho, has got this snotty look on his face. It's very funny. Not something out of a movie, doesn't quite fit in what I grew up as for professional wrestling, but we live in a different professional world today. I'm going to say this before we go too much further. Too is I noticed AEW is really heavy on the promos tonight, which can be good and bad. I do think it's good to use your television to get your characters over. So I do think you should have some promos on the show. When you're considered the alternative, maybe a little too heavy on the promos. There wasn't a lot of matches, but it's also coming off a pay-per-view, so I think the show at the pay-per-view sets up new feuds and new directions for the company, and also hits home what we just saw in the last one. So I can see it on this particular show. Not all the promos were great. I'll get into that as we go. Lucha Brothers with Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston, great manager. I like the managers in AEW. I think they get a good use out of veterans, and also guys like Eddie Kingston, who's, he's a veteran. He's not a legend. Not to take anything away from him. He's not a Tully Blanchard type legend, but it's a good use for him. Great promo guy. Still can wrestle too. So, he can do either one. Good role for him. Versus Jurassic Express. And right away, I noticed that the crowd was way better than the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view crowd definitely took away from the show, which I'll go over in a bit. But I thought that the pay-per-view overall was hurt by the crowd. The lack of crowd heat. There's no heat. People weren't into the matches for the most part, and that definitely took away. If you took that same show and you put it against, if you put it in an actual arena, I think it would have done a lot. It would have came off a lot better. That's part of, that's something they can't avoid on some level, but also something you knew going in. It's not a full crowd, so maybe change what you're doing. I don't know. But Lucha Brothers versus Jurassic Express, crowd was into this match. It was a fun match. I like both teams. What do I have down? Penta has a new name, Penta El Cerro M, which Excalibur mentioned that means means something. I don't know. I wrote that. Oh, no fears, zero fears. Man with zero fears. Isn't interesting? Tony kept calling them brothers. Are the Lucha brothers? I didn't know they were. I just thought it was like their bros, like their buddies. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know a lot about them besides AEW. Jungle Boy got the pin. I didn't understand the finish so much. It looked like Penta pile drove his own partner. Like, I get like you'd elbow or clothesline your own partner by accident, but pile driving your own partner doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Oh, they are legit brothers. I actually didn't know that. But yeah, I don't really get pile driving your own partner. I don't know. What do I know? What's someone here? Interested who's here? Hey, it's a song man.
Hey, Jackie Jones, what is up?
How you doing? I'm good. You got a new name?
Oh, doing. Oh, the new name?
Yeah. It doesn't matter. I was just curious. I was just going over AEW, but you can join in if you want. So, did you watch AEW?
Oh yeah, I did. I will say a hell of a show, definitely.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. So yeah,
I didn't catch the pay.
Oh, okay. I'll go with the pay-per-view after.
Yeah, I didn't catch the pay-per-view.
I did see people in our Facebook page are saying, that they're teasing dissension, like splitting up the team that you just put together with Eddie Kingston. But I don't believe that's really what's going on. It's more of they're being put together because they're not having great success right now. So it's more of they're arguing, and Eddie Kingston is there to combine them as a unit, as opposed to they're already an established unit, and now they're splitting apart. So really, it's the reverse of that. They're splintering now, but Eddie Kingston is there to try to bring these guys together as one cohesive unit. That's how I take it.
And that did it start at the pay-per-view, or did that start tonight?
Oh, that
I
was
kind of
tonight's show. That was tonight. Yeah, the Tonight Show.
Oh yeah, definitely. And am I wrong or something?
What? Uh-oh. I don't know. I think he I don't know what happened there. Lance and Jake, Lance Archer and Jake the Snake did a promo in an alley. I dug it. I like Jake the Snake. I don't know what the hell he's talking about half the time, but I just like to see Jake, hear Jake. It's good stuff. Some people don't like Lance Archer on promos. I kind of like it. I know people like he kind of mumbles a little bit, but it's a little different than everybody else. I dig it. He seems like a wacko. I like it. I did like it that he was just like, it's like getting wet because they're out in the rain, and then he's like, Moxley's gonna get wet because he's gonna sweat and piss himself. I was like, all right, Jake. I thought maybe go for blood, but no, he's just gonna piss himself. Like, all right, cool. Right from there, went to Matt. So Matt Hardy, which we're gonna talk about in a little bit, or I'm gonna talk about in a little bit. Matt Hardy. Obviously, people want to see, are interested in what's going on with Matt. And so he comes out, cuts a pretty standard promo, saying he's okay, and setting up that he wants to go for a title, chase for a title. So, I mean, he's a huge star. He's one of the biggest stars they have, name wise, from the past. So I'm totally. I wouldn't put a bet title on him, but I think a match him going for either the world or versus Brody Lee is totally feasible and smart. I think that would be something you'd want to do. Reba and his baby Barty, I believe. Is that Barty Oil Jr.? They were there. That was fun to see. So yeah, we did that. Orange Cassidy versus Angelico, which I haven't seen in a long time. Angelico, you haven't seen him or they were in the early AEW days. I actually think they're a really good team. Great matches. Maybe a weird look. Angelico always looked like he should have a mask, and I don't mean that because he's ugly, but Rebby, not Reba, whatever. Who cares? It begins with an R and an E and a B. Whatever. Orange Cassidy and Angelico, but he looks like he should have a mask because, and like I said, not because he's ugly, but he has like a full bodysuit, and it doesn't look quite right with just like a guy. Like he should have a mask, I think. I didn't know he was like. Is this something he is like this master submission? I've never heard that brought up on the show before. I don't know. I was just thought he's a high flying guy, but I don't know. I don't know a lot about him. It was kind of a shaky. He was setting up for this the submission move after they put him over being the submission specialist, and it took a lot of setup to get him in, get Orange into the move. It didn't look particularly good. Quick match though, which I think is smart because sometimes I won't say job matches. It's not a jobber match, not a squash match, but I think sometimes their matches in AEW when they have the star versus a guy that they're really not pushing is too competitive and goes too long. And I'm not saying he should squash Angelico, but this to me was the perfect length match for this kind of match because Orange is one of their main guys. Angelico's not a guy that's really pushed. So you don't just squash him like he's a nobody, but you also have Orange go over decisively. So I like that. Smart match, I would say. I like the Orange Punch as his finisher. I like it for a few reasons. I think it fits him. I think Orange Punch is a cute name. And it also, for the internet marks, they're gonna get their jollies. They're like, hey, this guy's using one of the man, one of not Becky Lynch, but one of the established guy of WWE, Roman Reigns. He's using his finisher. I like. It's funny though because I was thinking Angelico being a very small guy, but he was much taller than Orange. Santana and Ortiz ran out. Santino, that'd be cool. Santana and Ortiz ran up proud and powerful. Beat down Orange Cassidy. Best friends make the save, setting up. They're doing some kind of street fight or something next week. Fucking Marvez, who I hate. Alex Marvez. Nothing, I'm sure he's a good guy, but my God, I can't stand this dude. So it got a pop out of me when the Young Bucks just super kicked the guy's head off. I was like, hell yeah. But they're supposed to be, it's supposed to be a heel move. So maybe not if you really do want a heel reaction, they should super kick someone that's beloved by the audience, not someone that probably most people don't like. So maybe Tony. I want to see. I was just saying, I want to see Tony get kicked, but that would be perfect because then it would be like, what the fuck? The Young Bucks just kicked Tony Schiavone, those bastards. But they super kicked Alex Marvez, and it's like, good, get that guy out of here. And for the rest of the show, they did put that over the rest of the show. They're like, they fined him $5,000. You can't be just kicking this guy. He's just, a helpless or hapless, doofus. Well, I didn't say that, but he's like a suit. So. Kip Sabian and Penelope. All right. I'm fine with comedy and wrestling. I actually like it. If I'm entertained by wrestling for whatever reason, I like it. It can be silly comedy. It could be serious stuff. It could be hardcore matches. It could be great tag team matches. There's lots of things. It could be promos. Whatever it is, if I enjoy it, it doesn't matter to me if it's whatever. But that being said, bad comedy I do not need. And this was bad comedy. Sorry, it's not particularly good. I do think Kip Sabian has gotten better. He's got more presence. He has more confidence, I think, since his debut in AEW. Penelope, I think, is a star of the two, but I still Kip Sabian's okay. But this was bad. This was like a bad WWE skit, like a birthday skit or This Is Your Life kind of skit. Who's the best man? They bring out this fat dude called Puff, and it's supposed to laugh because he's a fat guy, I guess. And I'm not here being like, you can't make fat jokes and all that kind of stuff, but it was just cheap and not funny. If it was funny, okay, but this was lame. And then for some reason, they want to make Brian Pillman Jr. just seem like a total goof. And I don't know why, because I actually think that he has more star power. I think he has more potential than Kip Sabian, to be honest. So, but he's made to look like a total J-Brone to Kip Sabian, which I don't quite get. I think that's a mistake. I don't know. I don't get the reasoning with him. So I was really not digging this segment. I thought this is a fail until the best man came out, Miro, and I was so excited because I'm a huge Rusev fan. I'm glad to see Rusev in AEW. Miro, I'm cool with the name. I think he could do a lot better than being teamed up with Kip Sabian. I guess it's kind of cute, the Twitch connection. I've never been on Twitch in my life, so that means nothing to me. I mean, I joke about being an old man. I know I'm 44, but I don't think I'm like an elderly man. But I don't fucking know about even though I'm doing a show here live on Zoom off YouTube, but I don't know these Twitch things. And I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here. I don't think an angle based on Twitch is great television, but I don't know. Maybe the kids love it. Maybe next week they're going to do a TikTok angle. I don't know, but Miro is a big plus. I'll see how this goes with him and Kip Sabian. I think he definitely could have been paired with someone better. I did like the promo though. The look I like too. The blonde hair I think's kind of cool on him. He could have maybe he kind of dressed like a bum. Could have maybe had something a little nicer on instead of like a weird t-shirt. I forget what was even on it. He just looked like he was sitting around, I guess, playing video games on Twitch. He didn't dress like a star. And I'm not saying he had to have a 3-piece suit or something, but he didn't look too impressive. But I did like the promo. He's talking about the glass ceiling and the invisible brass ring. And he's like, you could take that brass ring and shove it up your ass. Elite recognizes elite. That's why I'm wearing this. I'm the fucking elite. Gucci shirt. Yeah, it was Gucci, but it had like some weird had like a little cartoon Asian car. I don't know. I didn't care for it. I didn't see that and think this is a badass. He was like a goof. But big plus. That's a good pickup. I know there's some backlash about AEW bringing a lot of ex-WWE guys. But if you bring in guys that have following and that are have a built-in fan following, and also to the fans of AEW, these are guys that we know were misused in WWE. I think it's smart. And plus, it's like, where do you get guys? You're either going to get ex WWE guys or indie guys. I mean, where else are you going to get talent? It's not like there's 100 territories around. And it's like, oh yeah, we'll go get AWA and get some guys, and then we'll go down to Florida, and then we'll get this guy that's making a name for himself up in Oregon. And I mean, you're either going to get these are the guys you're going to get. I also just real quick, a little bit of a tangent, but I've heard people, because I've been trying to keep up with what people think of wrestling nowadays. So I've watched some clips of various people in the internets. I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of Hannibal. Nothing to get. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he is no presence. He was a nice guy on our show and everything. Nothing against him. So I just don't really like watching him. Conan and Disco, I really dig. I think they're probably the closest, even though they don't really care for AEW, but just me personality wise, I think I like them the best. I think they're very funny. They're also not mean spirited. Like Cornette's very mean spirited. But anyway, where I was going with this was there is a thing that people say. Cornette says this, Disco says this about AEW has their, like, these guys are over to their fans, but they say it like that they're not over to anybody else. But I think you could say that about anyone in the history of wrestling. Everyone was over to their fans. So, like, the ECW guys were over to ECW fans. Nitro guys were over to Nitro fans. Like, who isn't over to their own fans? Like, I don't really get that. Like, okay, Stone Cold was over to the WWF fans. Now he brought in new fans, so I understand. I get where they're going with it, but at the same time, you have to you want to have people that's over to your own fans. What else? I mean, it's better than theoretical. Like, these guys have a theoretical audience. Okay, but if they're not really there, then what do you have? Nothing. If these people are over to an actual fan base, at least you have actual fans. When they had crowds, I mean, they got big crowds, and like the what do they call them? I forget, like their fan fest kind of things. I was at one. I mean, it was a huge turnout. The place then people were crazy, just spending money like insane, and things over. Go with it. Goga says, I get Miro wanting to defend his wife, but I do not believe Meltzer is making stuff up. Even Cornette, who does not like Meltzer anymore, said Meltzer does not make stuff up. I'm not sure what that's in reference to, but I agree. I've listened to Meltzer and read the Observer since the 90s, late 90s. And ever since I was on the internet since 2000, I've watched him. And do I agree with everything he says? No, but he's never struck me as a guy who made stuff up. He might be told stuff that might not be true. Sometimes they're accurate, but definitely not a guy who makes stuff up. So I don't know what, maybe he said something that just wasn't true, wasn't accurate, but that's different than making, like, for instance, Incher claims we said he laughs like a child and pointed at him and laughed. Do I think he's lying about that? And no. But did it happen? No. So that's a little different, because I think he just dreamt that up. I don't think Dave Meltzer sits around and dreams up stuff. I think he has maybe some people tell him something, and either plans change or that person wasn't accurate. But I did see that Ryback said that the world would be better off if Dave Meltzer was dead. Now that's a little overboard. Even people I don't care about in wrestling, I don't wish death upon them. Like Big Mosh back in the day, was not a fan of this man. I didn't say the world would be better off if Big Mosh had died. No. I mean, come on. Back in the day, you watching Siskel and Ebert, you say, hey, these guys are schmucks. I don't believe it's a bad example, because now they're both dead. Maybe there was a Ryback back in the day. He was just watching that. He's like, the world would be better off if these two guys weren't around. That's what happened to him. So the point is, Ryback, watch what you say. What if something happens to Meltzer? Now you're going to feel bad. So anyway, screw all that. Hangman Page sit-down interview. It was okay. He was talking about, it's weird because I'm not as huge on Hangman Page as some people are. I think he's definitely improved. I think he has great matches, definitely better matches when the show first started. I don't see the charisma a lot of people talk about. I think he's charismatic, but I don't think he's got like over the edge, over the world like charisma. Not huge fan of his promos. Still think he needs some work on he's there's something missing about Hangman to me, but I don't really like the drunk stuff. Not because I don't drink anymore, but it's like it's a little hokey that he has a drink on him all the time, no matter what he's doing. It's like, come on, is he just like shit faced 24/7? I'll be honest, my grandfather did drink all the day, so maybe it is accurate. I don't know. But yeah, it was fine. I thought later on Kenny Omega's promo was better, and I'm not really a big Kenny Omega fan as a personality, but I thought this was his best promo, which we'll talk about later. And if he always acted like that, I'd probably be a big fan of his. It was serious. His goofy. I'm fine with someone being goofy if I find him entertaining, but when he's goofy, I just think, what a weirdo. Hagar and Jericho, Jake and Jericho. I'm an instant fan. I like this. I like that they're going for the tag belts. I'm into this. Hagar and Jericho versus Janela and Sunny Kiss. I also like the Kiss and Janela team. I know some people are really anti Janela. I'm fine with them. I actually like the pairing. I think Sunny Kiss is a star. Lots of charisma, talented in the ring, stands out, and not just for the obvious. I think he has she, whatever you want to call him, whatever has star power. I did notice that because JR, he got in trouble for calling Sunny Kiss her, and since then, Sunny said correct, he'll take he or she, and so during the show he'll call Sunny Kiss he she, but at one point he actually referred to Hagar as her, which I think was just he was getting caught up in all this. But it was no DQ match. It was actually longer than I expected. And like I said earlier about I think some of these matches should be shorter that are like that. This one I think was fine being longer because they've actually established this as like a sub feud, I'll call it, because they've had history and they've done stuff together. So this worked for me. I liked it. It was a really fun match. Um, I know some people call it garbage wrestling. I thought it was just a fun hardcore match. I dug it. My one negative, as I say, I don't think Sonny should have took the fall. I would have had Janela take the fall. I'm not a Janela hater, but I think Sonny has more upside. Surprising competitive match. I liked it. And then afterwards, Jake and Jericho going for the tag belts. I like it. My only issue is FTR heels, and I know they say there's no heel and baby faces. I don't agree. I don't think you need to play it up all the time as prominently, but you still have baby faces and heels, and to have I don't know about two heels. I think two faces wrestling makes more sense than a heel feud. FTR versus Jake and Jericho, I think, will have great promos if you include Tully, and the match itself will be really good. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about that feud. But I do like because they're if you have so many single stars that are top guys, they get kind of lost because like, well, what do we do? Do we have 5 top matches on one show? It's kind of weird. So we had Kenny and Hangman were in the main event, were tag team. Now they're established they're not going to be a team anymore. So then you have 2 potential main event guys now in the singles again. So now you're taking other 2 main event guys, Jericho and Hagar, and you're going to put them in the tag division for a while. Also in AEW, which could be in all of wrestling, in my opinion, you can main event with anything, and you can main event with the TNT title on TNT. You can main event with the world title. You can main event with the tag belts. In theory, you should be able to main event with the women's belt. I don't think right now they just don't have any women that could do that right now. But in theory, you can do that. You can do that in WWE. I actually believe it's um, when Becky main evented. I also believe when Charlotte main evented. So in theory, all your world titles should be able to main event. So you could main event with the tag belts. Totally believable. Star wise, I think FTR versus Jake and Jericho would be a fine main event, but it's a weird heel versus heel, so it has that weird. I don't know, but In theory, I like it. It also elevates the tag division. I think it's probably helpful for to prolong Jericho's longevity to be in a tag team. Doesn't have to take as many bumps. Jake can play the big guy, come in and do the big moves. I like it. MJF promo. I always like MJF, and he came out and he fired his staff. He's like, they're gone, which I was good. I'm good with that. I don't like the all the his campaign thing. It was funny, but MJF's so good on promos, he doesn't need other people there. It just kind of takes away. So just MJF and Warlow. That's all you need. Mox promo on Archer. It was good. You see a monster, I see a man. It's talking about Archer. I think that'll be a good match. That's what I think on the October 14th that match is. So we have some time to build that up. FTR with Tully celebration. I do like the new symbol. I think it's this, or is it this? This. It's kind of like this, but there's only three of them, so it's this. Feel the not Feel the Revolution. Feel the Revelation. I like that name. When you just called them FTR and it meant nothing, it made no sense to me. That was just strange. It's just a cop out, and it didn't even make any sense. Who would call themselves like three letters and it means nothing? It doesn't. It's strange. You wouldn't be AEW, and then the AEWs don't mean anything, or ECW, but the ECWs don't stand for anything. It doesn't. That makes no sense. So it stands for something. I like it. They called out the Gun Club. Maybe I should watch Dark. Are they used on Dark? Because they literally just sit there in the crowd, as far as I know. Why would they even be having a match, even a non-title match for them? I didn't understand that. They're gonna wrestle Jurassic Park next week. I like that they use the non-title match as part of the storyline, because normally it kind of makes no sense. But they're like, to get the title match, you have to beat us. Now that makes sense. Otherwise, a non-title match makes no sense, because it happens so much in WWE. People would beat the champions, and it wouldn't even lead to a title shot. If it didn't lead to a title shot, why was there a non-title match in the first place? What would you gain out of it? It made no sense. FTR fits better with Tully than the goofball Spears. I agree that they fit with him, but I actually like Spears. I think Spears is good, and I like I like all of them together, to be honest. I don't think this was the best though. Not the best. I didn't. The end was real cheese ball. I thought, when they dumped the ice on him. The whole little battle just came off kind of cheesy. I don't know. It seemed a little flat. I wasn't into it. I also think it's funny that that a lot of the heels in AEW use Jim Cornette catchphrases, and I actually think they're playing Jim Cornette, because Jim Cornette will like, oh, they're listening to us. And oh man, they're purposely using your catchphrases so you mention them on your show. Honestly, that's what's happening. So he's throwing out, cosplay and comedy gimmick. And so, I'm sure that got a big pop from Cornette. Another thing, Cornette, they might be listening to you, but you're watching them because you know what's happening. MJF does that a lot too. He'll throw out the Cornette references. And I just think it's funny, because to me, it's like they're clearly playing this gimmick and they're playing it up to, because that's why MJF, when he was saying like he grew up watching these great wrestlers, and he put Ernie Ladd in there, and it's like, Ernie Ladd, I mean, that's a guy that he literally just put him in there because it's the guy Cornette talks about. He's not known as a great technical wrestler. Again, this is when I noticed there's really promo heavy on the show, because you had promo, then another promo. You're supposed to be Darby Allin come out, but it was Ricky Starks, who I like this guy. I didn't know him. I just knew he was in Power, but I didn't watch Power. Taz on commentary. I'm not a big fan of Taz on commentary, but if it's just used for something like this, it's better. When he's the real goofball on commentary, I think it takes away from him trying to be a serious manager. That was fine. Tay Conti. Now, isn't that the guy who sings Chocolate Rain? Chocolate Rain. Isn't it? I don't know. It was weird because they make all this mention if they just signed Ty Conti, and then they put her in a match with Nyla Rose where she gets killed. Seems odd to me. Like, hey, we signed this person. Yeah, this ass kick. She's not good. Sorry, she's not very good. Um, I'm glad it was again. It was a quick match. She had her Conti, Ty, whatever. She had Nyla Rose in an armbar. Nyla powered out of it and gave her the Beast Bomb. I like that. Uh, quick match, good. Dug it. Excuse me. All right. Sheeta comes out and saves Ty. They bring up again Bucks fine $5,000. I like that they're hitting home that this was a dastardly deed by the Young Bucks. Has me interested. What's happening with the Elite? I kind of think they all end up back together. It's just all teasing. I don't know, but it has me interested to see where it all goes. Kenny Omega sit down interview. I was surprised by this because I normally can't stand Kenny Omega on promos. I just think, God, I can't stand this dude. Like, I couldn't imagine being around him. He's so unfunny and strange. But this was good. If he always did these promos, I'd be a fan of his because his matches are excellent. I dug it. Talked about coming into the show into AEW, and everyone had their belief that he was the singles guy. He was the ace of the company. It was a lot to live up to. Then he found this tag team, and then he started to think maybe this is what I'm meant for. And then now that it's ended, he's like, now I want to go back to the singles. I like it. It's kind of a slow, burn to this feud because he had Hangman saying, they want to keep doing this. And we'll find out. October 14th, Moxley versus Archer, and they plugged next week's show. A lot of good stuff going on. We're going to see Jake and Jericho versus Private Party. That'll be good. I like to see these. I like the idea of them being the team. Um, they hit it home again about FTR versus Jurassic Express. Now Jurassic Express has to win the match to get a title match. I like that. I think that's a good way to go because that way you'd have to beat FTR twice to win the belts. You'd have to beat him to even get a title shot. I like that. There's main event time. Match I was really looking forward to. Brody Lee versus Dustin Rhodes. Dustin's one of my favorite guys in AEW. I think he's been tremendous the last 10 years. Get himself in the best shape of his career. Him and Cody and WWE had some of the best matches at the time. Their stuff with the Shield and great stuff. Amazing stuff. And it was really disappointing to see him in such good shape and then never do anything. But like that tag stuff was good, but never do. He'd be put in singles match and it would just be a couple minute match. He's used sparingly in AEW, which is probably smart because he's an older guy, and you don't want to. It seems important when he has a match, and he knows how to put together a match. He knows how to make the match seem important. And I know sometimes people have a problem with AEW matches always jump starting. This time it made sense because he's pissed. Brody's a guy who put his brother out and his sister-in-law. And so he goes right after Brody. Makes total sense in storyline. Just a big brawl. And Brody's usually playing the big man in a match, and this is a match where it's a guy that's basically his size, probably height-wise, maybe about the same. Both big guys. Brody's probably a little thicker, but still, comparatively the same. Dustin's pulling out a lot of crazy moves like the Hurricanrana and the sunset flip like bomb. Again, makes sense because he wants to beat this guy, and this is a big dude, established guy. He's got to pull at all stops to try to beat him. So he's even doing stuff out of his comfort zone. There was an EC dub chant for I have no idea why. Good match, really good match. It was hard hitting, was physical. This is the kind of wrestling I like. I dug it. I really like Brody Lee since he killed Cody. I think he has more fire to him. I'm really liking it. I was really not digging Brody when he first came in, but I think they've kind of give it a new kick and a restart. Not really a restart because if you just restart it, it makes no sense. But it's given him some new life. And then all the guys came out and started beating up everybody afterwards. They were carrying out QT. I like that over the shoulder. They held up Dustin and just kicked him right in the balls. I like that. Good stuff. Sweet spinning lariat. AEW. I was a fan. Probably a little promo heavy on the show. There was some bad comedy. A couple of the promos I thought were a little flat. The FTR thing didn't really work for me. The idea coming out of it that they have to win the non-title match for title match I like, but the rest of it was not really big on. The jumping ice on them and stuff was kind of cheesy. I didn't like the Kip Sabian promo at all. I thought that was terrible. But I do like that Rusev's in the company. I like the best man name. I guess if he's just gonna be called the best man. There was a Rusev Day chant. We'll see where it goes. I'm not thrilled about him being paired with Kip Sabian, but we'll see. Maybe he'll elevate Kip Sabian. I hope it's not just all Twitch though. I want to see Miro kick ass, not just talking about Twitch. I don't give a fuck about Twitch. No mention of them building up Cody speaking at the end of the show. Oh, wasn't that like some game show or something? I don't give a shit about that. Joey Janela, I saw it when I went down, when I was gonna do the show, but I can't, I'm gonna do this show. I can't just start watching some game show, but he was like doing like I don't know. Don't they have like a million of these shows or like poor man's like American Gladiator type shows? Didn't like The Rock host one? I have no interest in it. It's kind of lame though because Cody's supposed to be killed and then he's just like totally fine on this other show. Joey. Okay, so the pay per view all out. We had Joey Janela, Sonny Kiss versus Serpentico. I'm not familiar with Serpentico. I thought maybe Serpentico was going to win. I thought he was like this new guy they're pushing, but Joey Janela went over. Which you have to give Janela some wins if people are going to care about his other matches. Private Party versus Dark Order. These were both the dark matches on the pay per view, whatever they're called. That match was fine. All right, so the pay per view started. All right, I'm an AEW fan. My favorite wrestling on TV. It's the only show I look forward to. But I'm also the most honest man in podcasting. Big Swole versus Brick Breaker was the drizzling shits. Horrible. Just an awful match or whatever you want to call it. This was WWE level bad stuff. This is right up there with the worst of the cinematic matches. This garbage. Big Swole is awful. I'm not sure what they see in her. She's not good at anything. Britt Baker's a great promo, a good wrestler too, but she's hurt right now. So, from what I understand, they had to do a match like this to get the because she's hurt, so you had to do some kind of gimmicky thing. But to me, it was just god awful, just awful TV. The Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express. This match was good. I don't really remember much about it. This happened, but it was fine. Lance Archer. Oh, so they did a 21-man battle royal. It was really sloppy. I remember the battle royal. Very sloppy match. A lot of people missed a lot of moves, but it was fun. I like battle royals. I like their take on the 21-man battle royal where they come out in groups. It's sort of like the Rumble, but you get different guys, and then you get the 21-man. The 21st guy's always a surprise, and this time it was what was the guy's name? I forget, but yeah, I'm just gonna call him the Shockmaster, which I know people are taking now, but I believe I said it first. I said it live during the chat. He goes up for the move. Matt Seidel, thanks, Vince Rudo. Matt Seidel, and I feel bad for him. I mean, he slipped, but my God, your debut in the first big move you do, you just fall. At least he didn't get hurt. I'll say that, and I won't hold that against him. I mean, anything can happen. But it wasn't a good debut. But that match wasn't particularly good. But it was fun just seeing everybody in there. Lance Archer won, so he gets the title match on October 14th. Then this is the match a lot of people are talking about. Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara. I'm a fan of Sammy. Wow. So it starts out fun. It's a callback to the to Sammy getting run over with the golf car. He comes running out this time. It's like, I'm gonna run you over. All right, so that starts out fun. Then of course we'll just get to it. They climb up the forklift, or they take the forklift up. They're battling. Sammy spears Matt off the forklift through the table, overshoots the table, lands on the back of his head. Looks awful. I honestly thought maybe, I hate to say this, but I thought maybe Matt died for a minute, or like I even thought like you're gonna see blood. Like it was bad. It looked really bad. He splattered right on the back of his head on the concrete from a pretty high up thing. He couldn't get up. He's like knocked out, and so they end the match, which is, we know what should have happened. Urus says it wasn't that bad. Oh, he meant maybe the show, I guess. But if he meant that Matt Hardy spot, it was a pretty bad landing. Or maybe he meant that big swole match was the shits. That no one's gonna tell me that wasn't bad. That was just awful. But Matt Hardy, Sammy Guevara. So Sammy does spear. Matt lands in the back of his head. It's knocked out. They stop the match. Then they restart the match. And I mean, I don't really see anyone's going to argue that this match should have continued. It definitely should. And obviously, Matt, I've heard people say, well, that's what a wrestler would say. I think that's what anybody would say. Anyone who's competitive, a wrestler, any athlete, or anyone that's just even an actor, someone who's has passion in what they do, um, are going to say they can keep doing it, even if they shouldn't. So you can't really take someone's voice at that point in time. Like obviously they're going to say they're okay. And this isn't 30 years ago. We know about head trauma, and there's really no reason to keep this continuing. And even on a practical level, so they keep the match, they restart the match, and it leads up to this fall from Sammy Guevara off like the stage, and like it looks after we just saw a really bad bump. They restart the match to do like a really phony bump, which I'm fine with doing the phony bump because I don't want guys to kill themselves. But after we just saw a real bump, it really puts over how phony it is, and it's really kind of lame. It's like, so we just saw this guy really get hurt. Now we see this phony thing, and then we're supposed to take that seriously. If you just would have ended the match, and I know it would be kind of exploiting like an actual a bad landing, but build that up. You could have ran with that. Say, look what happened to Matt Hardy. He is unkillable. This happened to him, and now he's going to come back. I know it's storyline that if he lost, he had to retire and all this stuff. It's wrestling. You write the thing, write something that he can come back. Maybe he challenges Sammy to something and offer something else up. If he can win, he can come out of retirement. There's so many different ways you can get out of the retirement. Fans would have understood it, obviously. And you could have just kept showing this terrible bump in the back of his head. And then when he can come back, it would be that much more fans behind him. Like, wow, he came back from this. Leave him off for a little while. Let him sell the injury. And let him actually heal up and make sure he's okay. So on a serious level and just a practical level, for the show-wise, I think it would be better just to stop it. Sheeta versus Thunder Rosa. I saw a lot of people really love this match. I personally thought it just went too long. I can't say like the work was bad, but like it hadn't, the crowd wasn't. This is probably a match that would have been better with the crowd. I just felt it went too long. It's not bad, but I wasn't in love with it like a lot of people were. Matt Cordova, Scorpio Sky, and the Natural Nightmares versus the Dark Order. I thought this was fine. FTR versus Kenny and Adam Page. Again, I saw some people saying they love this match. I didn't, because no crowd heat whatsoever. And I know people say like you can watch a match, turn off the sound for a match and it's bad, but I'm sorry, part of what makes a match fun is the crowd. And if these guys are doing these crazy moves and doing this like 30-minute epic match and the crowd's not into it, it's not enjoyable. It wasn't enjoyable to me. I can't say they were bad at all, but it just was this never-ending match where they just did moves after moves without the crowd caring. And I was just like, okay, just end this. Sorry, it wasn't an enjoyable match for me. And not by the lack of trying by either team, but this is definitely a match that got hurt by no crowd. If you had an actual crowd there, probably would have stole the show. But I think you have to learn how to do these matches with only 20 people in the crowd. This one didn't work. I don't know why the crowd was so dead. Even just normally the crowd is the wrestling crowd is more into it, the wrestlers, but the no one was into this show for some reason. Orange Cassidy versus Jericho to me was that match of the night. Um, I think it was the only match on the show up to this that built up properly. It built up like an actual match. And even though it's kind of a corny thing, the idea of throwing the guy into the mimosa, it built like a match. It built up to the big fall. It built like a traditional match, and that's what made it dramatic. It made it exciting. I was into it. They kept teasing, someone falling into it. They led up to it, and then they did the big move, and he fell into it. It was built like an actual match, and it worked. It was fun. Is it kind of goofy? Yeah, but it's wrestling. It worked for me. I liked it a lot. I'm a big fan. Orange Cassidy's my favorite wrestler in wrestling right now. Jericho's right up there. My two favorites probably. I liked it. I thought it was the best match tonight. Moxley versus MJF. He was banned from using the paradigm shift. I like this match too. MJF usually has matches I like. They're a little more of a traditional wrestling match. I thought the finish was really good. Um, it told the story. You told the story in the match. You couldn't use the paradigm shift. The heels, they're cheating. Um, you think it's no DQ, so you can't necessarily cheat. Or was it no DQ? I don't know. But anyway, they were cheating. The ref didn't see it. But Moxley used the ref being distracted to hit his move, so he outthought the heels and won. So it was really, you think about, it's a traditional wrestling match where the babyface outthought the heels. So I liked it. So I enjoyed the pay per view, but honestly, a huge step down from previous AEW pay per views. A lot of it is just the lack of having a crowd. You also had a lot of the big guys in the battle royal that so weren't in the matches. Um, if you're gonna do these no crowd matches, pay per views, I would suggest cutting the time down in the matches. It's hard to do a 30-minute match anyway, but without a crowd into it, I don't know. I think it's pretty rough. Vince Rudo says it could have been longer to fill time for the Hardy match. It's possible. I probably would. I mean, you don't know what to do at that point in time, but maybe just draw an extra match or something. But I think in theory they probably would have thought like this match is gonna can't miss. And I do think with the crowd it would have been a different story. So I'm gonna go over these questions. This won't be a super long show because normally I'm gonna do in your head and then this next night. Normally I'll take calls and stuff, but not tonight. All right. Let's see here. And if you call on the Wednesday show, make sure you watch the AEW paper show because it's just going to be an AEW show, basically. The Tuesday night, you could zoom in and talk about whatever you want. Travis says, I think the crowd's taken out of the show after the Hardy bump. That's possible. Oh, yeah, these are two things I should bring up, though. Like Vince Rudo says, by the way, if you ever have topics or questions or whatever, you can email me at iwatchwrestling@gmail.com or post them on the Facebook group. But if you're not a social media guy or not a Facebook guy, email's the best. But yeah, the Twitch stuff. So WWE went out and they were like the guys, everyone, not just guys and girls, the wrestlers, the superstars, can't use third party things like Twitch and Cameo. not even under their real name. And this caused a ruckus. But I think anyone with sense, anyone who's not an asshole, thought this was bad. There are some fans who were for it, which I just can't even wrap my mind around. I saw Jim Cornette was around. I like Jim Cornette, but he is like so out of touch. I'm sorry when I heard what he said about this, and he's like saying like, people shouldn't be on stuff like they should only be in character. Like, dude, if you had guys go on Twitch and they're like talking about like their real life, like they're supposedly really feuding with these guys, people are gonna think you are so corny. Like, you can't do that today. Everyone who watches it knows what it is, and I don't think on the show itself I want them telling me that they're not really feuding, but I don't expect these people in their real life on social media to act like this stuff's legit. Like, I just think that's embarrassing. And you're not going to stop people today from using social media or websites and stuff. And then right now, um, you know, they need money, more money coming in because there's no house shows. They're not making money off the pay-per-views like they used to. So they're like getting their downside guarantee, I guess. So they're gonna make some extra income on Twitch and Cameo and things like that. I don't think you can stop these people from doing it. I don't think you should stop these people from doing it, especially if they're using their real names. I personally think you should let them use their gimmick name because it brings eyes and attention to WWE, which is needed right now. They're not looking at it from an angle that I think they're really missing. These people, guys and women, they're going to go on social media. They're going to do these Twitch things, Cameo, whatever it is, YouTube. They're going to get the fan base that watch that stuff. They're going to feel more connected to them because they know them as people now. What that does is it gets you invested in them. If you're invested in them, you're more likely to watch the show that they're on. You're like, hey, I really like this person on, on Up, Up, Down, Down. Or I really like Paige or whoever it is on Twitch. Maybe you just think they're hot. But either way, you're like, well, I want to see more of them. Where do I see more of them? I could see them doing their thing on WWE TV, so I'm going to go watch it. Also, you're going to be invested. I'm going to go buy some of their merchandise. I think they're really missing the boat here. They're always talking about social media and things trending and all the followers on Twitter. What's the point of that? The point of that is that you want people invested in your product. Otherwise, who gives a shit? What is it? Just a number out of the blue? It doesn't mean anything. This is all an extension of that. The more they're out there, the more people are interested, the more attention it brings to the WWE television. So if they can't use their gimmick name, which that's up to them, whatever they want to do, then it's just like, hey, this is Abe Schwartz. Who the hell's that? I don't know. But if they're out there and this is Paige or whatever, they're like, oh, well, now I can go find them. But so that I think that's something overlooked. It's just petty. The idea, obviously, there's other things too. It's like that they don't say they're employees, they're independent contractors. You can stop your plumber from going on YouTube. Even if you're like, I'm redoing the whole plumbing in my house, so I got to pay this guy a lot of money because he's got a lot of stuff to do. And then I go, and he, what? He's on YouTube. What the hell are you doing, buddy? No, if it's on their own time, do whatever the hell they want. So it's bullshit. And then I saw fans that were for it, and honestly, I just think you're an asshole. And it's weird because I also see a lot of the fans that were against it are people that love to call everyone cucks. And then they're like wanting the wrestlers to be literal cucks. They're like, oh, you guys are cucks and wimps and whiners. But then they're against them standing up for their own rights as workers. That doesn't add up in my mind. They're like, we don't want wrestlers to be wimps and cocks, but we want them to be subservient to their employer. I don't get it. I don't understand that mindset at all. There's a lot of bootlicking wrestling fans. I agree with that, Urias. And it's weird because most of them are people who hate WWE. They hate WWE, don't watch WWE, think they're wimp. Those guys are wimps, but at the same time, they don't want anyone speaking against WWE. Where's the logic there? They just want to be negative. I don't get it. All right. What else was there? Yeah, that's just mental to me. But since then, WWE said they can use their real name. They just can't use their gimmick name, and it's not because they've like had a change of heart. Like, oh, let's let these people, get some extra income. It's because it's getting attention from people, and they don't want it out there that they don't give them employee benefits. I mean, come on. They don't want the backlash. JR getting trouble. This is dumb. Now, people are saying that I'm too woke lately. And I'm not for sexism or anything, but I'm also not a moron. I'm not crazy. I'm also a guy. And Jim Ross on the show, he was like, I think it was Penelope. Did Penelope have, I might be wrong, but whoever it was, did she have a wardrobe malfunction, or is that just wishful thinking? It's a joke. He wasn't saying like, "Oh, let's go rip her clothes off." It's totally a tame joke. That's nothing for anyone to get upset about. I don't believe anyone is legit upset about that. I think that's just something people want to say they're upset about, because no one would. Who would even be watching? Would you be watching wrestling if that upset you? How could you enjoy wrestling at all? I couldn't imagine. Like, you'd be a wrestling fan if something so tame like would drive you crazy. Speaking of that, let's get to these questions. Fuck, Mary, kill Missy Hyatt, Sonny, and Molly Holly. If that upsets you, you're living now. Your head's exploding. You're like, what? How dare he? How dare this man? Whew. Well, I guess I'll marry Molly Holly. If it was Sonny in her prime, Sonny's always been nice to me, so I won't kill her. Sonny's very nice to me. And Missy Hyatt, nothing against you, but you're the odd woman out. I guess you're out. You're out of here. Marty Van Buren, if you could trade one male and female wrestler in AEW for one in WWE, who would you trade? Interesting. Get rid of Swole. And if you could bring in Charlotte. Well, I want to say Charlotte because I'd use probably someone who's not used very well, who could do something good in AEW. I mean, Asuka. I mean, she's used well in WWE too. But I'll just say Charlotte or Asuka because I think they're the best. Male wrestler. Let's get rid of Sabian. I'm not really in this dude. Sabian, we're sending you off to WWE. And who are we gonna bring in? There's a lot of guys who would be better off. I was gonna say Randy Orton because he's so boring in WWE, but I do think he's talented, so you'd have a whole bunch of new people to work with. I do think there'd be a backlash bringing in someone so big from WWE. I think you need to bring in someone who's under the radar, who fans like, but it's just not used particularly well. Maybe Keith Lee before he's ruined too much. Adam Cole. Bring in Adam Cole. In almost 2 decades of interviewing human beings, who has made you uncomfortable? Easy one for me. Rock and Roll Buck Zumhoff, and then we can see why. But that was very uncomfortable on the show, even before we knew anything. Also, who has made you feel like a real man? I mean, I'm Jackie Jones. I'm fucking always feeling like a man. But I remember Goldie was talking about giving head or something. That was kind of cool. Thoughts on Marty Jannetty? Yeah, so Marty Jannetty, that's a very big open question because there's like a lot of things. So when he said he killed, that's a good one too. Actually, Urias says bring in Matt Riddle. That would be a good one again before he's too exposed in WWE. Matt Riddle would be good one. Where was I? Oh, Marty Jannetty. So Marty Jannetty, it was like a month or two. I don't know. Time. I don't know about time anymore because you're just sitting around. You can't go anywhere. But anyway, a little while ago, Marty said he killed a guy when he was 12. And then I saw a lot of people like, good for him. He did the right thing. Just assuming, because Marty Jannetty said it, it's true. And how it happened is totally accurate. There's no way it could just be made. The whole thing could be made up and no truth to it. Or how it happened, could have been changed. They just totally took it as face value. Oh, of course, he killed a guy who was trying to rape him. It's like, okay. So anyway, now he's saying that was the start of a storyline. What storyline? Where? First of all, it doesn't work anywhere for any wrestling company. So where would it be a storyline for? And what company is going to do this? Is WWE going to bring in it? This is their new storyline. Marty Jannetty murdered a pedophile who tried to rape him when he was 12. This is how they're bringing back Marty Jannetty. They're not going to do that in AEW. Did XPW come back? Is he going to come in and feud with Pogo the Clown? Maybe that's going to happen. I don't know, but or storyline where on his Twitter, on his social media page on Facebook. I don't know. That was out there, and then he had some big tirade on Black Lives Matter, which I'm not going to go into, and I'm going to try to keep politics off the show, but. I'll just say this. I could see reading Marty Jannetty Facebook. I actually like Marty Jannetty. I can't dislike him, but it's very. I can see why he was fired many times. John Barker, which Headyverse member would you love to beat down and make them humble? Whoa, hot damn! Who needs a humbling? Vic Schiavone. He's been, he's got a big head here for a while. I think needs some humbling. Take down Vic Schiavone. I was going to do that this year at the New England Fan Fest, but it was canceled, unfortunately. But yeah, Vic Schiavone's getting big for his britches. Holy shit. All right. I thought maybe I'd be off the hook this week with Nikhil, but apparently not. Nikhil Callahan. If you want to submit questions, join the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/IYH Wrestling, or email me at iwhitewrestling@gmail.com. Golgo says Jannetty needs to get some help or is most likely going to die too young. I mean, he's probably, I don't want to be morbid, but I think he's probably lived longer than most people assume. Only 10 tonight. All right. Well, thank you. All right. Who do you think Jericho will feud with next in AEW? I think they're going to do the team, which I think is a smart idea. Jake and Jannetty, Jake and Jericho. I don't really think the FTR feud is smart. I think the matches would be good in the promos, but I think the heel versus heel team doesn't quite work. I don't know who you'd feud him. I think you need a good babyface team to feud him with. I'd have to think about it. Who's the big babyface teams? Because they just broke up Paige and I like Jurassic Express, but I don't really see that worthy for Jake and Jericho. Private Party. I mean, eventually you could do the Young Bucks, but I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be heels too. So I don't know who's the big. I don't know if they're really lacking babyface teams right now. The Gun Club, nah, that's not working for me. I don't know. It's interesting. Maybe you build a new team for them to feud with. Oh no. I think it's better to feud them with an established team that would really get them elevated. I think FTR, I mean, like status-wise works, but I think it would work better if FTR were baby faces right now. I don't know. Best friends. I mean, they're already in the feud, and as much as I actually personally like best friends, I don't know if they're. I think really need a top team from the feud with. Thoughts on? Oh, sorry. Do you think Archer should beat Moxley for the AEW title? No, I think Moxley should keep it for a while, and if he was going to lose it, I think MJF would have been a good. I do see an argument. I'll say I'll continue no, but I do see the argument of this could elevate Archer to the next level if you want to go with him, which is possible. I mean, having the title could benefit Archer, so I understand the. In theory, it could work, but I wouldn't. Do you think AJ Styles will one day join AEW? I think it was a few years ago he'd be there, and it would be some tremendous stuff. I don't know. I think they'll really make sure to keep AJ. I think they'll just pay him so much he'll stay there because they say McMahon really likes him. Thoughts on Eric Young being TNA champ? I'm a big fan of Eric Young. I mean, but I don't really know how much that does for TNA, to be honest. With Finn Balor as NXT champion, is that a downgrade for him? I mean, if you're going to be part of NXT, I mean, you have to go for the title. Otherwise, why would you even be there? If they act like a guy in NXT is above their top title, then they shouldn't be there because that just really hurts the company. And is that and what's next for Adam Cole? I don't really follow NXT, so I don't know. Sorry. Go to AEW, Adam Cole. Thoughts on? Oh, he's probably going to go to the main roster, I guess. Thoughts on Authors of Pain being released? A little surprising. I've never really seen anything in them. I know they're kind of big. They're not really that big. I don't know. I really never saw anything in them. They gave some shots, but I never really saw much in them. Who will be in the main event at Full Gear? Full Gear. So Moxley, I think, will continue to be in the champ. Maybe if the tag belts run the court, if Jericho and them run their course by then, you could do the rematch Jericho versus Moxley, but I don't think so. I think he'll probably still be in the tag by then. We just did MJF. We're doing Archer. Really running through a lot of the top guys. We'll see how things go with Miro. You could possibly do that. Do you think WWE will struggle to get another big TV deal if the ratings don't improve? Oh, definitely. Definitely. I don't think they'll get this $1 billion deal again. Which version was better and why? Also, their worst moments you can think of as a certain character. Luke Harper or Brody Lee? That's an interesting question. I would have thought going in it'd definitely be Brody Lee. If I take the last few weeks, I'd pick Brody Lee, but Luke Harper did a lot of good stuff when they're with the Wyatts. I think the initial run with the Wyatts is a good stuff. Anything after they split up the Wyatts was bad, I think, with Luke Harper. That Mallet team was the pits. Dean Ambrose or Moxley? Well, Dean Ambrose did some bad stuff later when he was singles guy, but the Shield stuff was tremendous. That was off the charts. So to go, but I also loved if you go just on all Moxley. I thought his stuff pre WWE was great. I mean, actually, I'm a fan. I'll just say Moxley, but it's hard to beat the Shield stuff. I think that was some of the best stuff in modern wrestling. FTR Revival, definitely FTR, I would say. Unless you include NXT, their stuff in NXT was good. Cody, definitely Cody in AEW, no comparison. Sean Spears or Tyler Dillinger, no comparison there. I thought that was I really didn't understand why they signed him, but I actually like Sean Spears in AEW. Jake Hagar or Jack Swagger. I guess Hagar, but I still don't think they've used him to his top ability, honestly. But a lot of stuff I didn't really care for Swagger. I did like the We the People stuff. That was probably the best. The worst stuff for Swagger is probably when was he in that? No, I don't think he was. Who was in that team where it was like the international team with Sheamus and stuff? I mean, he wasn't in that, I guess. Pac or Neville, definitely Pac. I wasn't a big fan of Neville at all in WWE. Why haven't the WWE ever pushed tag team wrestling? That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, they've had some great teams. Honestly, like in the '90s when the Dudleys and Edge and Christian and the Hardys, like that could have been main event stuff. And different times, the Hart Foundation when you had them and the Bulldog. I don't know. I guess McMahon just doesn't see that as being. I think he just sees, for the most part, the top guys being. I think it goes back to what his dad pushed. His dad always pushed the main event, big baby face, and that was WWE was a continuation of that, or WWF was a continuation of that, and WWE is a continuation of that. For the most part, it's always been a big baby face champ is the main thing in WWE. It wasn't really to modern day. They went with like a long term heel champ. Dodge Dean Maya, would you rather eat a bag full of chocolate dicks or a bag full of chocolate pussies? Depends if they're milk chocolate or dark chocolate. I used to not like dark chocolate, but now that I don't eat sweets, I actually start to like the flavor of dark chocolate. That's more of an intro thing, though, I guess, isn't it? He likes the really dark chocolate dicks, from what I understand. Marty Van Buren, is Miro your new favorite AEW wrestler? I'm a fan that they picked him up. I mean, I've only seen him one day, so no. Juan Wyatt, what are your thoughts on Miro Luchasaurus match? Interesting. I really liked Luchasaurus when things started, but I think he's really regressed as far as a wrestler goes. He's just all slaps. He just does the slap kicks constantly. I don't know if it was after his injury or what. I don't dislike him, but I don't really see a lot of I don't see him as like a top guy, honestly. He's moved down to my book instead of up. I like the look. He's a big dude. Kind of funny, but something missing there. And he's too slap heavy. I know that's a big thing in wrestling, but that's like all he does. And some of his stuff's a little awkward. I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to hate the guy, but anyway, thanks for the questions. I appreciate that. I also appreciate you guys to subscribe here on the YouTube page, share the YouTube page. People share a lot of stuff on In Your Head, and I'm totally fine with that. Don't get me wrong. But they're sharing, they're sharing Jim Cornette Experience. They're sharing Jim Ross. They're sharing Hannibal TV. Hey, you know what, Eddieverse? You can share In Your Head, too. Go and share In Your Head. Don't be annoying. Don't go spam up the place. But if you're part of the Headyverse, share the Headyverse out to your friends, too. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Really check us out on the new Anchor page. That'll help us out a little bit in the pesos. You can also you can click on the Anchor page and donate money. You can do like $1 a month or $5 a month, whatever. It really help us out. There's a lot of new expenses to do the show. I'm in the middle, not even the middle. I'm in the very tippity top of restoring 16 years of content because GoDaddy are bitches. So, I've got 15 more years of content of In Your Head content to restore to the website. Right now is all dead links except for 2020. It's a long, tedious task. I've done 2 years of Without Your Head. It's really going to take a long time to do this. So help out, share the show. Someone mentions cut the show into clips. I do that on Without Your Head. Someone would like to help out with that. That would be great. I'm one guy doing all the technical stuff. It really is just too much for me to do all of that. I would appreciate if someone would help. You could even just go, if you listen to the show in archive, what you do is just send me the time cues. Like, hey, 13 minutes and 12 seconds here, you guys talk about so-and-so. send that to me. It would be easy for me to cut out and post as clips. Um, if we review a pay-per-view, if it was a funny or interesting newsworthy topic, something like that, it would really help out the show, and I appreciate it, and we'll give you a shout out on the show. Speaking of shout outs, I want to thank all the fine folks who have helped cover In Your Head and Without Your Head expenses here, and that is Mike Fink, a great man. He donates every month. Hell yeah, Mike Fink, you're a good guy. Steven Simmons, also a good guy, longtime listener to the Headyverse, the In Your Head. Vic Schiavone, one of my all-time favorites. I guess I won't humble him. Listening In Your Head Without Your Head's helped out. Brian Matthew Clutter, even though he's In Your Head's intros young boy, I won't hold that against him. He's a good man. He's helping out the show. Our very own Golgo 13 here is a great guy. He listens to all this stuff and help out the website. And Nikhil Callahan, not only does he send in tons of questions, he helps out right here to pay for the expenses. I appreciate that. And James Lamont, a big Without Your Head fan, also appreciated. If you guys are into horror movies or movies in general, check out the new Without Your Head podcast network. So you get Without Your Head. It's got a bunch of horror movie interviews. It's live every Thursday. There's also a bunch of other podcasts that have joined the network. So you've got Launch Over, which talks about independent films and interviews a lot of independent filmmakers. Curious Transmissions, which is a show about UFOs and weird stuff like that. New show just the first one just dropped today, and that is Tales from the Tomb, which is a show about cryptozoology and independent horror music. It's a weird combination of stuff. And Trash Arts Take, which is independent film podcast out of the UK. So if you are interested in hearing stuff about British independent film, you guys can check that out. All of them have their own RSS feed, so you can subscribe to everything or one at a time. And that's at withoutyourhead.com. All right, and you can hear us live this Thursday. Myself, Terrible Troy, and the returning treacherous Trista. We will be on live with Todd Farmer, the script writer for Jason X. Jason X, Jason Goes to Space. We're going to talk to the man who actually wrote this out. What was in this man's head? Listen to that. Watch that. It's going to be a live video interview on withoutyourhead.com, or you go to withoutyourhead.com/live or youtube.com/c/withoutyourhead/live. Just go to withoutyourhead.com live and it'll bring you right there. But anyway, I had a good time. Thanks for listening. I'll do this again next week after AEW. And don't forget, Tuesday nights, me and the Inchman with the whole Headyverse will be doing traditional In Your Head. On Wednesday, I'm just going to do a post show, probably fairly quick, and I probably might just keep it to myself. I don't know. We got a lot of Zoom callers on the live show on Tuesdays, so if you want to Zoom in, do that. And until next week, this is Jackie Jones. Thanks from the Headyverse. Thanks everyone listening. Thanks all you guys who are helping out, paying for the site, and also help spread the head. Share the shows, get it out there. Do it. Bye-bye, everybody.